Hello, and welcome to Money Matters TV and our segment called Growth Stories, where we hear from entrepreneurs and advisors who share secrets and advice on what business owners need to know to grow. I'm your host, Mike Verrill, Vice President with the Sharp Financial Group, an integrated financial management firm that has, through a unique approach, unified business advisory, accounting and tax, investment banking, wealth management, and family office to help business owners and their families achieve extraordinary things. From time to time, discussions on this show involving life sciences, healthcare, and technology companies may be discussed. Those discussions are not and should not be part of your financial advice. Moreover, since the show is pre-recorded and shown at a later date, some of that advice may no longer be timely. It's always important to visit a conversation with your financial advisor before entering into any financial transaction. I'm joined today by my co-host, Rija Beares, Vice President with CBRE, a global real estate consulting firm. Rija heads up the media and technology practices in Philadelphia, where she helps high-growth technology companies develop real estate strategies to support their business objectives. Rija also serves on the program and outreach committees for Tech Girls, an organization that helps expose middle school-age girls to careers in technology. Hello, Rija. As always, great to see you. Thanks for joining me for Growth Stories.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to see you.
So excited for our guest today, probably unknowingly, but was developing entrepreneurial traits at a very early age, things like hustle and initiative. That led to a leadership role with a company and eventually ownership. So it's going to be fun to hear his story today. Before we introduce him, I would like to take a question from one of our viewers. Janet Yeller from Philadelphia is interested in knowing, what are some of the new design developments in commercial real estate? I'm assuming, Rija, she means maybe physical layout, those characteristics. Obviously, in a pandemic, maybe things look differently going forward, but I'd love to hear your professional experience and expertise on that.
Yeah, it's a great question, Mike. One design development trend that's being accelerated during this pandemic is activity-based work. And what that means is a lot of people are taking this to develop neighborhoods based on what business unit people work with and how they work. Essentially, the neighborhoods give employees opportunities to work in an open environment, choose to work in a focus room, meet in a huddle room, or a number of different ways that they may work to do their jobs. This optionality is being coupled with revised remote work policies. And ultimately what it's doing is it's reducing the amount of office space that's needed. It's easy in this environment to space employees out with this activity-based work, ABW is what it's called. And it's easy also to sanitize those workplaces between use.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Hopefully that was helpful, Janet. Certainly lots of changes in this new world that we're experiencing, and that will definitely have a big impact on the commercial real estate environments that we all have come accustomed to knowing.
You can have your questions answered on Money Matters. Please go to our website, money-matterstv.com. On our homepage, click on the banner on the right that says, Send us your questions. While you're on our website, you can find information about our host and guests, as well as show notes and links about this show and past shows. Money Matters is also available as a podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, so you can listen to Money Matters while you're on the go. That website address, again, is money, M-O-N-E-Y, -matters, M-A-T-T-E-R-S, TV.com.
Not every entrepreneur starts out wanting to be their own boss or wanting to be the founder of some exciting new company. sometimes following your instincts and market vision, coupled with really good leadership and natural leadership tendencies, you can find yourself going from employee to owner as part of someone else's plan. And that's exactly what happened to our guest today. We're happy to have join us for Growth Stories today, Luke Kempski, President and CEO of JPL. JPL is a marketing firm that Luke will tell us a little bit more about, based in central Pennsylvania and beyond. And Luke, Rhea and I are very happy to welcome you to Growth Stories and look forward to hearing your story.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Mike and Rhea, and loved Rhea's intro there. That answer to that question, I'll probably be following up with her on that.
Fantastic. Well, Luke, we're happy to have you on the hot seat, and we're going to hear your backstory. But first, tell us about JPL and the type of work that you do.
Yeah, JPL, we're a marketing and communications firm. We help clients really with everything from strategy, planning, and research to creative development, to really kind of execution across all media. So we'll do advertising campaigns, we'll do websites, we do live experiences and video content. Of course, all our live experiences have converted to virtual experiences, so we've become really skilled with that. Some of our largest clients are the Hershey Company and Kellogg's, and we work with Quest Diagnostics, and then numerous higher education institutions and healthcare companies.
That's great. Luke, thank you for that overview. Based on the intro, it doesn't sound like maybe you thought early on that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or you kind of had that focus, but things along the way have kind of led you down that path. But maybe there were some interesting characteristics that you developed early on, and kind of how you saw the world and went about things. Curious to just get some background and maybe find out a little bit what it was like to grow up in the Kempski household.
Yeah, so I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware, and I was the fourth in 4 years of 5 kids, and really was fairly independent. As the fourth in 4 years, I could fly under the radar, so I did my own thing and became kind of really independent young. I also had a paper route, which I learned to be really good at collecting and knowing what time to hit each house, and then also to get the paper there early so that they were happy customers and maybe give me a little bit extra. So my dad was a sheet metal worker. My mom was a nurse. So I wasn't really exposed to what it means to be a business owner or that many business concepts in general. So that kind of grew later in life.
But you were always interested in building things, and it sounds like even in college that passion came out. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to commute to Wilmington College, which is now Wilmington University. So that was a very small school, especially at that time, and I was able to access all the different equipment. So I went into communications. So at that point, they had a radio station, but it wasn't really operating. So I took it and started it back up, put it back on the air, hired a team. Of course, nobody was paid, but which made it challenging to get them to show up for their shifts on the air. So I learned a lot in that regard. But that was a big part of my college experience, along with really learning a lot of different things, working in teams, doing multimedia and communications related projects.
So, you're in communications, particularly in radio. But, part of being an entrepreneur is having a vision as to where the market's going. And so when it came time to make a career choice, you committed to something other than radio. Take us through that. What was the decision? Where'd you start your career? Why did you pick that discipline? And, tell us about that first work experience.
Yeah, so video production was kind of just emerging as something that you could do at less expense than in the past. So this would be like mid 80s. So cameras and different kinds of technology were more available. So we started doing video projects in addition to doing the audio and the radio projects. So one of the things I did was I got an internship with a video production company, and employed at that video production company were people who used to work in radio. And they were all not exactly real positive about careers in radio. So they influenced me to be more interested in video at that point. It turned out that that company, we produced safety training videos, And there came a point where they had produced enough videos to sell, but didn't have an ongoing business flow to keep the video production people busy. So I had my first experience in the economic world of being in business and was laid off, walked in one day and was told that no longer had a job, handed my keys, here's how to get to unemployment. And I was off on my own. Fortunately, I had a number of independent things going at the same time. I was videotaping weddings, videotaping other kinds of events for another independent video company. And then I was also DJing at a restaurant. So I put those things together. I was able to hold my own until I was able to find my next position.
That's great. So I feel like we should have a duet here where we sing "Video Killed the Radio Star." So you were at the first company, you got laid off, and then you really ended up in a corporate role. And the corporate environment must have seemed very safe. So give us a little bit about your journey and how you ended up at JPL from there.
Sure. Yeah, so I was a one-person video production department inside a large corporate Fortune 500 company called Amatech, and right outside of Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And I traveled around to their different divisions and produced corporate videos, introductions to their products, primarily like product demos, or some other things like employee-related things. That was a great position, but I met my future wife. She was graduating from law school at the time and looking for her first position in law. She didn't want to face the Delaware bar, and she turns out that she found an opportunity with the state, with the Commonwealth in Harrisburg. So I thought, well, I could probably find an opportunity out there to follow her, and I looked around for a company. I first didn't want to work with a video production company because of my experience prior, so I looked for another corporate job. Had trouble finding that, but then I met Michael Horgan, who was the founder of JPL, and he had just spun off the video production department of a company called JP Lilly, and that created into JPL Video Productions, and he hired me, and I was like the fifth employee at that point. I was hired as a video writer producer, and that's what I went to work as.
So that must have been a very entrepreneurial environment, fifth employee coming into a company, you'd had that experience before. And getting laid off with a small company. So what was that like? Like, were you nervous? Were you, just ready to kind of take it all in and ride the wave of growth? Or kind of walk us through that experience initially with JPL?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely very different than my first experience. It was a lot more of an entrepreneurial environment. Everybody knew that it was of the 5 people that were there, and as people joined, that part of our jobs were to bring in more business and to think about what's next to try to expand our business. It was just really part of the culture. And Michael had a real commitment to creating not just a company, but a brand and a workplace that was recognized as being a great place to work and a great culture. And then a company that was very focused on clients and getting client results. So it never felt like I was working for Michael. It felt like I was working for the Hershey Company or Boscov's or Giant Foods, those clients that we had early on. And we were just motivated to get results for them and to figure out what else we could do to help them.
That's great. So you really started to develop a vision for where part of this business was headed. Can you tell us about that group that you started to build and how you anticipated the market to bring in more clients?
Yeah, so I always kind of felt like that video production would have a limit to how big or how wide that would grow. Mm-hmm. But then interactive technology started to emerge, and I became really, really interested in interactive and video, like what all you could do with multimedia CD-ROMs and interactive kiosks and multimedia computer-based presentations and computer-based training programs. So I got really excited about that and started to look for opportunities to make that part of JPL. And we started an interactive technologies group. I went to grad school and learned more about training and development, and really just approached every project as being the intersection between technology, media, and learning or marketing. And so we started very bootstrapped in terms of doing multimedia projects for the clients that we were doing videos for. And then all of a sudden you could just see the business open up to a lot more possibilities and growth in that regard.
So obviously in a very entrepreneurial environment, or maybe you're not seeing yourself as an entrepreneur because you didn't start the business, but certainly a key in the growth and the development of what JPL was becoming. Ultimately you get this chance to transfer to ownership, but like, how did that come about? You're running this new integrated technology group that's going well. The company's growing. Did Michael just come to you one day and said, "Hey, Luke, this is take us through that whole process. Like, how did that come to be?"
Yeah, I can give you my perspective. I'm sure Michael's perspective would be a little different, but for sure, my understanding is that, like, you could see in him that he no longer was having fun with the responsibility and the financial decisions. He really wanted to just do the creative work and the cultural work, and I was more and more interested in the business part. And he was looking for some way out of that complete responsibility, and he pegged me to be a successor. And we were going to do it slowly, but then one day he said he wanted to accelerate the process, so we moved it a lot faster in 2004. And I feel like I was ready to kind of lead the company, but I didn't know anything about ownership at that point. So I signed lots of documents where I probably should have learned more about what I was signing. But fortunately, it was very good to me and fair to me, and we went on from there.
I mean, obviously you're feeling like you're growing into that role, but like all of a sudden you sign those documents, kind of day two. What were you thinking?
Yeah, and I think that fortunately Michael was still sticking around, and he had hired a CFO a couple years before, the CFO was very senior and very knowledgeable, so took care of a lot of the things. And really the combination of the three of us worked for a number of years together, and kept the business going. We bought a building early on, which was a big process. In addition to buying a building and signing more documents, also relocating, and figuring out the design of a building for our business, which has a lot of different kinds of design considerations. Fortunately, that all went really well and was very beneficial to us. And mostly we worked together really effectively. And I helped both of Michael and Dave, the CFO, transition into retirement.
Mm-hmm. And that's a really important key here, is you started to expand the leadership team and put a lot of thought behind that. Why was that important for you?
Yeah, I think I again could see that there were certain things happening in the video production, and even in doing web development. We were having clients were coming in and saying they wanted a website, and then you'd say, well, what do you want to accomplish with your website? And they didn't really have good answers to that. In some cases, or didn't have a marketing plan, or didn't have other components to thinking bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And I saw a real opportunity there for us to expand from being just more of a production-oriented company to being a company that could work with the client from strategy and research and planning, and then through the execution across the different media. So in order to do that, I definitely needed people who had different experiences. I was fortunate that one of our previous clients, who had a background in strategic planning and marketing, he had worked for actually a private equity firm, and when they acquired businesses, he would do their marketing strategy. So he had a really perfect background, and I hired him first as a consultant to research, what it would take for JPL to expand in that way. And then after we had that plan together, lots of people told us not to do it, but we kind of thought it was still a good idea. So I said, well, how about if you come on and lead it? And fortunately, he came on to lead it, and is still leading that area of our business today, which is now about 45% of our business.
So talk to us about, you were the fifth employee, certainly, but I think you're over 100 employees today. Mm-hmm. Take us through some of that growth. Was it all organic? I think you made some acquisitions. Talk to us about kind of how you evolved to that growth, where you saw the market, how you anticipated other areas of the market growing, kind of that real entrepreneurial mindset of being that visionary to be able to see where things were going and be able to grow the firm.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of ways it feels like our leadership team, and maybe they take it from me in terms of we're just kind of a paranoid bunch that always is like, well, we have to be next. We have to be ready for what's next. So one of the things that we inside of JPL, we had a computer-based training e-learning department, which didn't quite fit with the marketing and computer communications aspects of what we were doing. But at the same time, it did fit in terms of it had creative work and media production work inside it. So we did make an acquisition of a company called DaVinci Interactive, and we own that as a wholly owned subsidiary right now. And they focus on the learning and technologies and e-learning and educational content part of the business. Then we also made 2 acquisitions in 2017, one being a creative advertising agency, which helped build our paid media business. And another company called Pascal Stapleton and Lord, which was a higher education enrollment marketing firm. And we still trade under that name when we approach colleges and universities. And that president, Jim Pascal, is still part of the company and leads that area. So that area brings in a lot of business to all parts of JPL. So it's bringing in higher education websites, higher education paid media and analytics programs, higher education related live experiences and virtual events. So it's been really great to see all those different areas of the business kind of grow and feed on each other.
Is that a key metric for you when you look at businesses that you potentially want to acquire, like how you can cross-sell within the rest of the organization?
Yeah, very much. And I think I get most excited about the areas of the business when they intersect. So, we do an event where we can do the marketing program for the event and do all of the media leading up to the event and do the follow-up and assessment after an event, or same with a campaign, and you bring in different elements of the different things that we do. So yeah, very much. If it doesn't really integrate, it's probably not. It's going to pull my attention away from the core parts of the business. So I'm less likely to want to get involved with that.
I really appreciate how your acquisitions gave you a real focus on specific verticals. As you're going and you're determining what are the next steps, how are you going to stay on top of innovations in marketing to move forward?
Yeah, those verticals have become really, really important. We learned, so the geographic base of our clients was primarily in Central PA for many years. But we realized that, like a combination of a lot of the big corporations that were based in this area had merged or spun off, or different things were happening to them. So we needed to expand geographically. And in order to do that, you have to have more specialization to be able to compete outside your market where people just know you by name. So this focus on the industry verticals do a couple things. One is it helps us expand geographically. The other is that we can now look at specializing in higher education websites and higher education paid media programs and health services related capabilities, build that portfolio, build that expertise so that when we go in and talk to a new client, we can talk about the experiences we've had with other clients and apply it to their unique situation.
I'm sorry, did you have
Yeah, I was just going to say, so if you look back on this journey, what advice do you begin to give to other folks who may not see themselves as entrepreneurs, but might be able to become owners of companies and build really a vision from within?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the opportunity to really shape something comes with those opportunities. So I think getting experiences in starting up divisions or new practices within an organization is a great way to get your first experiences. Then I would also say, try to learn about what it means to be a business owner. Now there's just tons of content out there, books and podcasts and different things. Also, great professional groups. If you're an executive in a mid-sized company, you can become part of Vistage or other kinds of organizations that really support that progression from being kind of a division leader to becoming a business owner, and to talk to other peers who have made that journey or just have been owners the whole time. I think those are the best ways to learn, and also get you away from just learning from the particular person that you might have been working with for a long time to help broaden your perspective, because your time horizon is likely going to be different. And you need to be looking beyond what the current owner is looking at in terms of the decisions and the context of those decisions.
How much do you think that your success was based on instinct and kind of your upbringing, and how much was it developed from the learned environment that you were in, whether it's characteristics from Michael, other people you met along the way?
Certainly a mixture of both, and I think it wouldn't be. It's really dependent on being passionate about what we do. I still love what we do. I love the fact that it's all changing, and to try to keep up with it. I love walking around and seeing the different things that we're involved in, and being able to figure out how they integrate with each other, or what we're going to do next in that area, where we should invest in terms of talent, in terms of technology, in terms of facility, in terms of marketing and identity, and in our brand. So I think that's a really crucial component, is to have passion for what you might go into leading, and then to I think that the peers are probably the best way to learn in terms of, and learning from advisors like CPAs and firms like your firm, Mike, that can just, they're so willing and know that that's part of what they do from a business standpoint, to share expertise and share experiences and connect you with people that can help broaden your knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, you got to constantly be a sponge, right? You can't just figure out you have it all, the information. You got to gather it from all those folks around you. What are a couple, like, if people are thinking about the marketing communications industry, technology's moving so quickly, what are a couple key things that are on the horizon that you look at as a company?
Yeah, and analytics is just becoming a huge part of our business. Everything needs to be measured, and you need to analyze that data that gets recorded in the different things that we do, and make it and find insights in it to inform what you're doing next. So where maybe before it was more about research before you do, now you kind of take action and analyze how it's working, and then take the insights from that and adapt. So that's a really, really important part and growing part of our business, and a really important part of pretty much everything that we do. We're seeing artificial intelligence and machine learning start to have an impact in terms of both automating the kind of work that we do, and automating the distribution of it, and automating the data that we can pull out of the different types of tactics that we're integrating and campaigns that we're running, so that we can get results for our clients. Everything needs to be really focused on that.
At the end of the day, that's what's most important, right?
That is.
Luke, this has been fantastic. We've really appreciated you taking us along the journey here, and sounds like many great things to come for JPL and hopefully you and the firm. So we appreciate you sharing with us. Rhea, thank you for co-hosting with me today. The next week's guest will be David Fries. He's an attorney with Unruh, Turner, Burke, and Fries. So I look forward to that. As a reminder, you can download the podcast from iTunes and Stitcher, as well as see programs on our YouTube channel, money-matterstv.com. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Growth Stories. Take care.